Okay, let's first go to our ground reports today. I want to go first to Maayan Hoffman. She's a journalist in Tel Aviv. Appreciate your joining us, Maayan. We've been hearing through the day of missile attacks directed at Tel Aviv. There was one reportedly in which at least a dozen people have been killed. Can you give us the latest in terms of the situation on the ground, Maayan?
Yes, thank you for having me here. So I'm here now actually back in Jerusalem. I've been traveling between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. We had a direct missile strike actually in Beersheva today. That is in southern Israel. There were 19 people injured, most of them moderate, many of them also suffering from shock. That was in a residential area in southern Israel. That followed a very large scale attack that happened yesterday in a community called Beit Shemesh. That area is between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. In that attack, 9 people were killed, many of them family members, siblings, mothers, and sons that were killed in that attack. In addition, dozens there were also injured, many of them still hospitalized. The rocket attacks have been pretty much ongoing. And of course, Hezbollah has also joined in with Iran. So we are seeing new strikes happen in the north, the IDF attacking Hezbollah, but Hezbollah also sending rockets into Israel.
Man, therefore, are you saying, are there civilian areas which are being targeted in across Israel? And is there any specific region that has been targeted?
Well, I wish I could tell you there was a specific region, but in fact, missiles have been across the entire country. Generally speaking, when the IDF, the Home Front Command, sends out that there will be sirens, it's for all of central Israel, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, etc., and the south and the north have been being targeted. So really the entire country, but definitely civilian areas. Civilians have been asked to hunker down near their homes, be close to a bomb shelter, because rockets could come at any time. The way the Home Front Command alerts people is they send out a preliminary warning that rockets have been fired, or missiles or drones from Iran, and then they let us know when the rocket has gotten closer. You have about 8 to 10 minutes from that initial warning to when you have to get in.
Okay, I'll try and come back to you, Maayan, in a moment. I want to go to Tehran, where Yusef Jalali is joining me, senior journalist there from Iran. Yusef, give us the situation in Tehran. Maayan tells me that across Israel there have been these missile hits, but give us the situation where you are in Tehran, where presumably there have been even more strikes and even more casualties. One report suggesting officially at least over 500 people have died in the attack so far.
Iran has witnessed the most severe day in terms of the scope and the extent of the strikes that it received today. The capital, Tehran, was a scene of explosions, massive explosions everywhere, nearly everywhere. It was like a rain of bombs falling everywhere in the capital, Tehran. And as you mentioned, the death toll is now, as put by Iranian officials, is exceeding 550 people. But of course, today was very much significant in the sense that the Israelis and the Americans are no longer focusing on Iran's missile production facilities. They're now turning towards Iran's police and, of course, Iran's Basij paramilitary force, which is affiliated to the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps. The reason they're doing this is that they believe that the Basij and the police was involved. These institutions were involved in suppressing the protests that erupted in late December last year and continued until January this year. So we can see Basij stations everywhere. The Basij stations are not limited to the areas outside the urban areas. Of course, they are built inside the country. And that is why you see that bombs and explosions are everywhere. And neighborhoods inside Tehran are now targeted. And that is why you see that people are in a state of panic. And the war seems very close to targeting civilians right now, because those entities and those buildings, Basij buildings, and of course police stations, are located inside civilian areas, commercial and residential areas, and that is why this increases the risk of civilian casualties.
It's been, what, 24 hours, 36 hours since the news came that Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, had been killed in one of the attacks. Has Iran come to terms with it, to what has happened, that its Supremo, who's ruled the country for over 35 years, is no longer there? And has there been mourning or celebration? Because videos of both, some showing celebration, some showing mourning, have come across social media. Can you give us a sense on the ground?
Well, of course, it's surprising how Iran moved past this incident very fast and easily and really smoothly. Nobody expected that the Islamic Republic would survive losing its supreme leader, a leader that has been ruling the country and has been leading the country for almost 4 decades now, has gone, and everybody expected that. Just was expecting that the Islamic Republic would collapse following the death of Ayatollah
Is the
Khamenei.
guest available?
But of course, it's surprising that the Islamic Republic has survived this incident, and you can see that different Iranian officials are now trying to project resilience and saying that this is nothing that can shake the Islamic Republic. This system is built not based on persons or individuals, but this is a system that is a resilient system. This system has been experiencing and witnessing and absorbing shocks, from economic shocks to military shocks. And that is why you see that the
But then
Islamic
surely,
Republic continues to rule the country.
but surely, in conclusion, they must be rattled by the fact that so many senior commanders have been killed in these very precise attacks. And there are reports that the missile strikes that Iran has launched as a counter are seen to be an act of desperation. Does Iran have a strategy?
Well, of course, Iran's strategy this time is different compared to what happened in June. Back in June, it was the first large-scale confrontation between Iran and Israel, and neither side knew the other side very well back then. The Israelis launched attacks against Iran. Then Iran paused for 24 hours before launching salvos of missiles towards Israel. It was a conflict that was very much between Israel and Iran, and that is why the Iranian missiles that targeted the Israelis and the Israeli territories were hard to be, of course, absorbed by the Israelis, and the Israelis suffered severe blows out of those missiles and rockets. But this time around, it's a battle between Iran and the United States and Iran and Israel. So the Israelis and the Americans are jointly launching this operation against Iran.
Right.
And this is why Iran knows very well that its missile capability is no longer going to save it from the war or from a defeat in the war. So the change in this strategy is that Iran really changed the nature of this war and turned it into a regional war by targeting those energy facilities and trade hubs in the region, in Qatar, in the UAE, other
Right.
places, and even in Oman, which has been mediating between Iran and the US. So this is now Iran's card. It is trying to inflict heavy damage on the trade hubs in the region and to try to pressure regional countries to urge the United States to halt its actions inside Iran.
Okay. Yusef Jalali, for joining us there and giving us a perspective from Iran. Not easy always, I know, in the conditions that you are in to get internet connection, but I appreciate you joining us with that live update at this moment.